Now that I've seen Blue Beetle, it's time to rank every single DCEU movie from worst to best. I know technically Blue Beetle's supposed to be the start of the new DC universe, but for the sake of this ranking video, I'm adding it onto this list. And I know a lot of people like to call this the mid-CU, but there's genuinely some of my favorite movies on this list. So we gotta get to the bottom of who's on top. But it's a ranking video, which means someone's gonna get in their feelings about where a movie's ranked. But remember, it's my list I cannot miss. Yeah, it was a jump scare. In last place, I got this fucking piece of shit Justice League. Completely ruined and disrespected Zack Snyder's vision for this movie. Let's throw in a bunch of stupid ass jokes. What the hell was Joss Whedon cooking? All I gotta say is CGI mustache and Kal-El, no. Cutting out the emotional core of the movie and Cyborg storyline. Like, what were they thinking? They weren't. From there, I'm gonna go with another movie that had a lot of studio interference. Suicide Squad. Worst heroes ever? More like worst movie ever. I kid, because I know there's like a fucking cult following out there that likes this movie. And yeah, it's pretty thoroughly entertaining. Like, they're decent character work, mainly Will Smith being Will Smith, not Deadshot. Amanda Waller's cool. Release the Ayer cut? I'll tell you why I was watching. From there, I'm gonna go with Wonder Woman 1984. Talk about taking a cliff dive in quality from your first movie to your sequel. Like, it's really crazy just how corny and cheesy this movie was. The dialogue was terrible, the direction was terrible, line delivery wasn't it, and just the tonal shift from the first movie to this movie just felt weird. But it did have Pedro Pascal in it. Hey, I don't know whose idea it was to bring back Steve Trevor by wishing him back into the body of an innocent man, but that person should be flipping burgers. From there, I'm gonna go with Shazam: Fury of the Gods. A cute, fun, family-friendly movie, but pales in comparison to the first one in my opinion. Generic villains, bland villains, overall meh. Which brings me to Black Adam, which is all style and no substance. So if you're into that kind of thing, I can see why a lot of people really enjoyed this one, but for me, it just didn't hit the mark. Don't even get me started on that damn kid. But genuinely some of the best visuals in the DCEU, definitely some of the best fight sequences. I loved everything with the JSA, Dr. Fate was dope. And overall, can you smell what the room? It doesn't matter. Next up, I got Birds of Prey, longest title ever. I actually really like the stylistic choices that they went with this movie. And whoever decided to make Margot Robbie the lead was a genius. I'm not a fan of what they did with Cassandra Cain, but I love everything with Harley. I need me one of them breakfast sandwiches. Ewan McGregor as Black Mask was cooking. It asks a simple question. Would you be willing to be eaten alive by a hyena to smash Harley Quinn? Yes! Moment of weakness. Next up, I got the original Shazam, which I really enjoyed. At the time it came out, I said this was the best Captain Marvel movie. And overall, this one was just really heartwarming, a lot more personable with the characters. Very formulaic origin story, but it was different enough because we had never really seen big in a superhero movie. Sivana's a meh villain, but they do some creative things in this that I really enjoyed when they're yelling at each other from across the thing and he's like, what are you saying? I like that. Next up, I got Aquaman, which probably has the best visuals and action sequences in the entire DC universe. James Wan was really cooking. Again, this is another style over substance, but I feel like there's enough substance to put it over these other movies. Some of the dialogue and line delivery is very corny, cheesy, and me like watching buff man with fork fight other buff man with fork. Hey, yo. And next up, I got The Flash, which I actually like less the more I watch it, but I still think it's a fun, enjoyable time outside of the damn ugly ass CGI. I don't know who okayed the face scans between the two berries, but it was not the best. I love seeing Michael Keaton back. Flashpoint storyline, the emotional core of it did still hit because, I mean, I fucking love my mom. Sasha Calle is Supergirl. But the whole, like, baby intro and the whole third act sequence kind of puts it down for me, but it's still better, narratively, at least in my opinion. Who the fuck is this guy? In sixth place, I got Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition. Why did you say that name? And outside of Martha Getting Day, I really enjoy this movie, even though Jesse Eisenberg was acting like the Riddler and not Lex. Ooh. But man, it had me hooked from that opening scene. The political aspect of how the world should view Superman is always intriguing. No one man should have all that power. I know it's kind of somber and dark as opposed to bright, colorful like everyone's used to with Superman and Batman. But for the universe that it's in, it's fire. Warehouse fight scene. And I'm never not gonna clap like white people when the plane lands when I see Wonder Woman appear in this movie. Even though that's played for jokes now. Into our top five, at number 5, I got Blue Beetle. And this one I have a little personal bias just because it felt like I was watching my Mexican family up on a big screen. I loved this movie for all the reasons I didn't think I was gonna love it. I mean, sure, the first ever Latino-led superhero movie had me intrigued, but I didn't think the emotional core of the family aspect was gonna hit me as hard as it did. There's a lot of underlying themes and elements of this movie that are very specific to a Mexican and or Hispanic experience that only we're gonna get. But outside of that, I still feel like this movie's super enjoyable. Definitely falls into the same origin story for superhero 3-act structure. Introduction, gets powers, big CGI fight at the end, but I loved it, and the scarab is tight. Action sequences are great, score is great, soundtrack is great. I love that they blend practical and CGI use. Tell that to the Flash people. And this is one of the best costumes we'll ever see in live action. In fourth place, I got the original Wonder Woman, one of the best, if not the best female-led superhero movie of all time. Like, for that no man's land scene alone, I just love the fish out of water aspect of this movie that always is gonna hit for me. I thought Gal Gadot was pretty damn good. She has the occasional line delivery, but overall, she's great, and her chemistry with Chris Pine, Steve Trevor, just that third act with Ares is like, what? In third place, I got Man of Steel. And look, I get the hate this movie gets. It's not a great characterization of Superman and his world. But as a standalone, adapted film of Superman, I fucking love this movie. Just like Christopher Reeve made me believe a man could fly, Henry Cavill made me believe a man can still fly. Thanks to Hans Zimmer's score, I play What Are You Gonna Do When You're Not Saving the World and Flight at least 7 times a day. And yeah, there are a lot of dumb moments in this movie that are very controversial, like Pa Kent's death and him killing Zod. But I just overall love this movie, and I don't care what you say about it. In second place, I got Zack Snyder's epic Justice League. thoroughly one of the best superhero films I've ever seen in my life. The character dynamics are there. I love seeing them interact with each other. Action sequences are incredible. Cyborg storyline is very touching. Hey, yo, the cinematography is immaculate. The score, again, incredible. And that scene in The Flash alone, I wish I could experience that in theaters. This shit really is peak. But in first place, for me personally, I got The Suicide Squad. Bro, James Gunn was cooking. Keep that man in the chef. And I mean, DC Studios agreed. They made him the head of DC. He just gets character. He gets story, if it is simplistic. James Gunn just knows how to make a quick, tight script with characters that we have never heard of, learn to love, and take us on a fun, funny journey of character growth. Ratcatcher 2, Harley Quinn. I mean, you literally learn to love every single character in this movie. John Cena as Peacemaker, Nanawe, Han, Bird, Pancake Man, my bad, Polka Dot Man, and Idris Elba's Bloodsport. I mean, come on. This movie gave us fucking Starro with depth. And that fight between Peacemaker and Rick Flag, but that's why it's number one. But that's just how I would rank him. Let me know how you'd rank him down in the comments below. And as always, like and follow for more.